Question for you in regards to the media landscape.
Yeah.
When we were having a conversation, and we had Jesse Waters here a couple months ago, actually loved having him on. Seemed like a really nice guy. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
Character.
Yeah, character, funny. Like, you know, like the stuff he used to do with Bill O'Reilly back in the days. And then you learn more about his story, how loyal he's been to the organization. He's earned this job for a long time to have the job that he has today, right? But before they were announcing, I didn't know who they would go through. You know, it's like who's going to be the VP nominee. I had you at the top. Like, if Fox has got to go give that job to anybody, I thought it was going to be you maybe getting that job. Maybe they were going to knock on your door to say, hey, Tucker's no longer here with us. You're one of the guys we'd like to have here. What are your thoughts with the media landscape? That was one of the things we talked a lot about with Tucker the last couple of days. With Fox, with, you know, what happened with Tucker Carlson Network, TCN, with Daily Wire, with what you and Chris are doing at Rumble. Most people think you're just a guy on Rumble. You're one of the biggest shareholders of Rumble. So media landscape, what do you see taking place in this community?
Man, that's my favorite question. So obviously the thing with Fox was, it was, of course it was reported wrong. I mean, the media, I'm always a straight shooter with my crew. No one was fired. There was no acrimony. I think because it happened around the Tucker time, people naturally kind of moved together and said, this must be related. That negotiation, I only had a 2-year contract, right? Mm-hmm. That negotiation was ongoing. I'm going to tell you, it wasn't them, it was me. I said it on my show. If I said it was wrong, don't you think they would have put a statement out?
Of course.
I didn't want to work Saturday nights. I had a book coming out. I'm an investor in Rumble. I'm on the phone all day with investments. My wife and I have tons of investments in different places. I'm working my podcast. I'm doing 3 hours of radio. I'm doing pre-production meetings for Fox every day. I didn't want to work Saturday night. And the problem was we would tape some of the shows on Friday, but what would wind up happening, news would break on Saturday. Remember the balloon with China balloon?
Yeah.
I had my freaking arm operated. I still got the scar. I did that show live after I'd already taped the show on Friday. I'm like bleeding through my jacket. And in their defense, they didn't want me to do it. They said, aren't you like still on anesthesia? I'm like, I'm doing the show. You go back and watch that show. I'm sitting there like this. My jacket's all, it's because I had a cast on my arm and I couldn't fit the jacket in. And eventually at the end, I just said to him, listen, I don't think I've said this before, but I said, I got to move to a weekday thing. And the line was right. There's just no real estate. So I said, we'll part ways. It was not acrimonious at all. But on the bigger media landscape question, listen, cable news is dying. I mean, it's a simple matter of spreadsheet numbers. And here's what's going to be kind of the sword of Damocles just going to drop, right? This generation of younger folks right now doesn't have what we have. We have the 2-button problem. You and I grew up with 1 button. You can pick up a remote, you hit power, Fox News on, ESPN. You don't have to do anything. 1 button. Real simple. We're not techie, right? We're just not. These younger kids didn't grow up like that. They know everything about the phone. Oh, give the kid the phone. Oh, mom, put this in the settings. They don't give a damn. They'll hit 20 buttons to get somewhere. Once this generation takes over, the cord cutting is going to be complete. They don't care. You're going to see cable news stations worth billions of dollars. It's not just Fox, but these other ones as well. They're going to be a finished product. Everything is going to be a video on demand.
How soon? Because
I think they have a decade left.
Isn't as fast as it seems like.
Well, because you got to remember, people haven't died yet. I mean, it sounds horrible, but they haven't. I'll give you a perfect example. My dad. My father's it's not a tech-savvy guy. Great guy. I love my father to death, obviously. The neighbor was like, oh, you got to get this like YouTube TV. And my dad was like, well, my son's an investor in Rumble, number one, but he's showing him how to use it. My dad's like, I don't want to know. I'm not going to remember. The guy's like, no, do it. He's like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do it. I just want to hit the 1 button. The kids don't care. I think as you start to see people chronologically dying off, these kids are not going to go to, I mean, I just bought I bought a house, this property, right? I said to my wife, because I have to watch cable news. I got to see what's going on. Yeah. I go, did you get cables? Yeah, the cable guy came, but they're not even dropping off boxes anymore. She's like, everything's preloaded apps on TV. I'm like, what? So this is when it's going to happen. That's why early on, like I saw the writing on the wall. You know, Rumble came to me early and there was the greatest business deal I ever cut. It was like offer A or offer B. And offer B was I bet on myself and I take equity. It was the greatest business. We went public at $3 billion. It was the greatest deal I ever made because I always had faith in myself. So what's going to happen in the future? And this is why I come on your show. It's going to be you, Tucker, Megyn Kelly, Daily Wire. It's going to be folks at The Blaze, the Jason Whitlocks, and people like that. These kids are just going to go. Everything's going to be a dumb box. Everything's a dumb box. They're going to hit, boom, Patrick Bet-David. Nobody is going to be watching cable. I'd say 10 years, 20 years, it's going to be a death sentence. That's why I think Fox is moving into Fox Nation to try to get to the SVOD, subscription video on demand. But I'll say one other angle with the media landscape. I think the problem people are making is I think paywalls are not a good idea. I think they're a nice supplement, but I think paywalls are just a bad idea. I think ad-supported is the way because a lot of these kids, everything's free now.
Paywall is a bad idea?
I think as a
like
supplement.
Like an OTT?
I think, yes, paywalls as your only exclusive way to produce. Like the Daily Wire's got it right. Produce free content, and then for your super fans, that's a great idea because you have a stable base of income.
Right.
And if you get like the lefty boycott brigade, you're always okay. But I think some of these people that are all in on paywall only, like pay or you can't see my stuff, I think we saw with, the Howard Stern Sirius XM era, like that was kind of like a real barrier for him in the beginning. I just don't think these young kids are going to pay for content. They grew up in a different era, man. You can't teach someone to pay for something they're used to getting free. You can give for free what they paid for, but not the other way around. So I think this kind of stuff where you own your own stuff, your own studio, your RSS feed, and your product, I have told 1,000 creators. For as much as I love my friends at Fox and everywhere else, and I do, I still have a lot of friends. I have no enemies over there at all. We still talk. I say to everyone, do not marry yourself to any corporate overlord. I'm a capitalist, but if they control your content and you don't build an email list, a Rumble following, a YouTube following, a Spotify, you were rocking on Spotify. I looked your show up the other day. Dude, you guys had like a top 10 episode. If you're not building that, you are owned by someone else. And one day when they say you're done, you are going to be starting from scratch. No sponsors, no subs, no P1 listeners. You're not going to have a damn thing. You're going to be going to Rumble or whatever and being like, hey, man, sign up. It's going to take you years to build that.
So let me ask this question. Okay, so an open-ended question. I want to know how you sell it. A guy is in a marketplace. He's got a good amount of following. He's looking at potentially doing it himself. He's looking at maybe he wants to sign with Daily Wire. Okay, I'm going to go to Daily Wire or The Blaze or Rumble. Why would someone come to Rumble?
Because Rumble's free. You own your own content. You own your own content. You could go to Rumble just like we just signed that, was it Sagar, that Breaking Points or whatever. This is a really popular pod. They think the Hill used to run.
Yeah. They do a very good job.
Yeah, they do great. Like they just came over because I think they realized wow, this is
Crystal Bell.
Crystal Bell. Yes. Yeah, and a great show. It's super popular.
Yes.
And the thing at Rumble we offer is I think the ad split is like 100%. Like all we do is, hey, come in, just take your money. There's no... Porter's 5 Forces, right? If you went to business school, like what's the barrier to entry? The answer is 0. It's free money. You go and put the podcast on Rumble and you just cash your check. And the thing about Rumble is we saw after the Parler debacle where we saw what these people could do, which I warned again, they didn't live, but whatever, that's a whole nother story, right? But at Rumble, we own everything. We own the cloud. So AWS can't come to Patrick Bet-David and go, cut that show, we're cutting you off our cloud. Rumble just gives them the middle finger. Like we own our own servers. We own everything. We own the payment systems. So your processor on your website, say it's like Stripe and they say we're going to cancel you. No, we own that at Rumble too. And you're like, well, they'll cancel you on the ads. No, we own the ads too. We have the rack, the Rumble Ad Center. So we own everything. So if one business, let's say like for us, like video falters, I don't know, say more people start watching YouTube or whatever. It doesn't matter. We've got the cloud and we've got the rack. We've got the ad center. Like we built a really redundant business. But that's why, like we wanted to own everything and we learned a lot from Parler. And we ran on a really simple premise. We're not these lefty outlets that are going to cancel you. Just don't break the terms of service. Don't break the law. Don't do kiddie porn and terrorist attacks on the thing. And we're not going to bother you. And we don't.
So with Daily Wire, what happened with Candace Owens? From a distance, you're watching it. How are you processing it? What's going on there with that? You think they'll recover from it and both sides will move on and have a good career? Or do you think that's a blow that's going to stay and people are going to be thinking about it when they think Daily Wire?
Man, I saw that coming from a mile away. I just did. I mean, I've done. Ben's one of the few podcasts I've done, like Megyn Kelly, Ben, and you, and I think that's it over the last few years. So I did Ben's show when I had a book coming out. And listen, Ben's really passionate about what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, obviously it's an issue that means a lot to him, and there are different opinions at the Daily Wire. But Candace felt strongly about it, differently about issues in the Middle East. I mean, we could do a whole show on that. And listen, as a guy who's been over there like a lot in my last line of work and sat through briefing on briefing, I got a different perspective on it. But that was one of those things, man. Eventually it was going to break bad. Will they recover? This is why, the sub business, you start losing subs. It's the paywall thing. It's not bad as a supplement, but you can get hurt bad. I mean, it's why the New York Times went crazy. People, why is the New York Times so crazy under Trump? Because there's money in it. Like, why did Willie Horton rob banks? Because that's where the money is. If you started saying pro-Trump stuff, subscribers discontinued. So the Daily Wire is going to have to figure out that kind of delicate balance, like, do we open it up to content where people are going to disagree with some of the main hosts, or do we not? And I don't know, man. Like I said, I did their show and I like those guys a lot. They've always been friendly to me. I mean, Matt Walsh's show is just great. I did Ben's show and listen, you knock Ben all you want. Dude's been #1 in the conservative space for 10 years. He's clearly doing something right. They know what they're doing. I just personally don't work for anyone else. I own everything. Bongino Inc. is literally my company. I own everything. Even my radio show, like that may be radio content from Westwood One, but they're basically just a sales agent for my show. Like, that's it. I own everything. And that's why it's easy to not get canceled when you own everything too.
Got it. It's an interesting concept with subscription. We're going to see what's going to happen with them. I think they just launched something. The market is going to be very, very honest the next 12, 24, 36 months. The market never lies, right? You can sit there and compete. And the great thing about free market, last night we're having a conversation with one of my guys, and Ayla and I pick up, I'm talking to these guys. They're in Hawaii representing us for one of the events that we're at. And I said, the reason why I love capitalism is because capitalism will force you to make the right decisions. Because if you make the wrong decisions, it's going to hurt you. So it almost forces you to be a man of character. Because if you're not, the market has zero sympathy for you. It'll tell you, you made that decision, no problem, 22% cut. What? Well, listen, we're going to do better. What are you really trying to do? You're trying to make a better decision because you took it from a decision that you made, right? Free market capitalism never lies. And we all look back 5, 10 years from now saying, shit, those are 2 big mistakes we made. Those guys made a massive mistake. Wow, those guys made a massive mistake, but they recovered. Good for them. What did they? But everyone's going to learn 10 years from now who's right and who's wrong. That's the beauty part about capitalism. But that was great commentary and analysis.
Can I add one more thing, though? Because you and
sure.
I, we do the same thing. One thing I will say, if you're looking to get in this business, if you want to be a content creator, and especially when it involves politics and economics, one thing you can never do is you absolutely cannot toe the line. You just can't. You are going to say stuff that is going to piss people off. When October 7th happened, I had strong opinions. I had a good chunk of my audience, they felt differently about the response. They were like, I think this is genocide. And you know what? I heard everyone out. I leave my Facebook and Rumble open. I read comments. I read them on the air. You talk about anything about economics, you're going to get 20 different opinions on 5 different issues.
Yep.
But I find some hosts, the reason they fail is they try to be everything to everyone. And your P1 listeners, your rock solids, they're going to tolerate the fact that 20% of the time you're going to disagree. But if you try to be a 100%er, people sense you're full of shit immediately. They are so out. We don't even do marketing. We're like a number 2, number 3 show on any given day. We do almost no marketing at all. Our show has been totally organic, word of mouth from the start.
Yeah. Well, by the way, what great counsel, though. What great counsel, right? Your ride or dies are going to be with you, and they're going to tolerate the 20% that you're going to have differing opinions, that they're going to disagree with you, but they're going to look at you as somebody that's going to be reasonable. But you're going to have people that are going to come in, they leave 6 months, and they come back in.
But then new people replace them.
That's right.
But your 80%, and what you want to do is build your 80%.
Yeah.
80% of 1,000 is obviously bigger than 80% of 100.
Yeah.
And that's how you build an audience.
Great. May 31st, next week, Friday night, lights, Dave Smith against Chris Cuomo. Holy moly. This event will be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The VIP sold out. I think we got a few the second tier. General, there's a couple left as well. If you're wanting to come, some interesting guests are coming on because they want to see this live, period. There's going to be some fireworks, but at the same time, the fact that they're talking, it's going to be exciting. I think even Dave yesterday with Rogan, they were talking about this thing coming up on a recent podcast Dave did with Chris. And Chris recently interviewed, who was it? The CDC, Vinny, who was the person that Chris had on that we played the clip. So even Chris is going deeper into it to expose some of the challenges from the COVID community, and that's gone viral. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. For some of you guys that haven't yet, Rob, if you can go back to the QR code for people that want to get registered, go to the QR code to get your tickets. Next Friday night, all of us are going to be there, May 31st. And at the same time, you can go to 5990live.com for the people that are listening on Spotify and Apple. 5990live.com. Get your ticket. We'll see you there next Friday, May 31st, 6 to 9.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.